Once January hits, you might be antsy to start your seeds. And when it comes to flowers that you can start from seed, there are a lot of varieties that you can start this month, especially if you live in a warmer climate where your last frost date has already passed or is approaching. But even if you live in a cooler climate, you can still start these from seed indoors. I recommend sowing this first group of flowers any month when the weather cools down after the summer, but as a refresher, in January you can keep sowing your violas, pansies, nasturtium, alyssum, sweet peas, and poppies. These are all flowers that hate the heat, but can do well in cooler conditions and even thrive in the winter and spring, and they can all be directly sown during the colder months as well. And if you are out of the danger of a hard freeze or temperatures below 26 degrees Fahrenheit, you can keep sowing calendula as well. And now for some additional flowers that you can start from seed in January. First up is Scabiosa, also known as pincushion flowers, and they are very low maintenance and come in different colors like lilac and indigo or burgundy, and typically bloom from April to October, so now is a great time to get them sown so they can get established with strong roots. If you don't already have snapdragons established from growing them previously, since they are easy self-seeders to get volunteers from, January is a great time to get some started because they germinate a lot easier after exposure to cooler temperatures. Even though echinacea can take a long time to bloom, it is a great flower to start from seed in January because they need time to get established, and typically echinacea sown in the winter months are stronger, healthier plants. Carnations really benefit from getting a head start since they can take a long time to mature and bloom, and it's recommended to start them 6 weeks before your last frost date, so even if your last frost date has already come and gone or you have way less than 6 weeks of frost, go ahead and start them outdoors, otherwise start them indoors. Bachelor's button are great to start from seed now indoors or outdoors, and this is one that I usually don't see at the nursery as a start for sale, so if you wanted this flower, it's safer to start from seed in case you can't find a start at the nursery. Amaranth is a fun flower that has tapering flower spikes that adds a unique look to any flower garden. There's so many different gorgeous colors and varieties to choose from, and they would be great to start from seed in January because it is suggested to sow them 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. But even if you're already past your last frost date, you can still definitely keep sowing them outdoors or indoors if you have a little more time to go before your last frost date. Borage is another flower that kind of peters out in hotter weather but does well in cooler weather, and in fact, the borage I planted last year dropped tons of seeds, and those seedlings are starting to pop up now, so they can definitely handle cooler weather and germinate just fine right now, and they'll have a good period of time to get established before they start blooming. Next up is butterfly pea. This flower is usually known as blue butterfly pea, but there are actually different colors that can come in like white and lavender. Butterfly pea does pretty well in warmer weather, but they can take a long time to get established, and the seeds can even take a few weeks to germinate. But that can be expedited by soaking the seeds or gently nicking the outer shell of the seeds, but then they can take up to 3 months to mature and bloom. And you want to make sure you really milk the growing season on these because once they bloom, they only stay fresh for a day or so, even if left on the vine. And while many people enjoy this flower dried to make tea with, and they will leave the flowers on the vine until they are dry, I still prefer to harvest and dry them myself so that I don't forget them, and the sooner you harvest, the sooner the plant puts more energy into more blooms. Butterfly pea does not like colder weather though, so this is another one where if you are in a warmer zone and you're out of any danger of frost, you have the option of sowing them indoors or outdoors, and if you still have several weeks of frost left, I'd start them indoors and maybe even towards the end of this month. And for some bonus flowers that you can start from seed in a warmer climate, California bluebells or Phacelia would be great to start in January as they are suggested to be sown outdoors 2 to 4 weeks before your last frost date. The second bonus flower for warmer climates that you can start in January from my experience are sunflowers because I have a lot of volunteers starting to pop up now even though we have had some pretty cold days, but they are getting bigger and stronger by the day. Of course, this is just a sample of what flowers you can start from seed this month. If there is something you're interested in that's not mentioned in this video, check your seed packet for information on how hardy they are or how many weeks before your last frost date they should be planted, or how warm the soil needs to be for success. Or you can always just do a garden experiment and try sowing the flower seeds in question this month and see what happens.